everyone to episode 4 in the JellyPod series. And I'm actually super pumped to announce Chris Coffee from the Pizza Ninjas team, as well as a fellow YouTuber, is going to be joining us tonight. So we're going to talk a little bit about Chris's journey in the Web3 space, how he started making content, how he eventually worked on Pizza Ninjas, which is one of the top BTC Ordinals projects out there. And yeah, just kind of like the whole journey with it. It's pretty funny. I've actually been paying attention to the BTC Ordinal space really early on. I even made some videos pretty early on as well. And Pizza Ninjas, for those that don't know, because I know a lot of people may be watching from the Cardano ecosystem primarily, is one of those top projects that a lot of people really look up to in Bitcoin, including myself. And kind of like a little fun fact, I actually did meet Trevor over in Singapore and inscribing Atlantis. Had like a little content that I did with him that I posted on the channel. And yeah, glad to have you here today, Chris. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah. And didn't from that interaction that you guys had at Singapore, didn't you get some pizza pets for that? Wasn't there a
Yeah,
collab there?
yes. And you were
Yeah.
one of the ones who were like helping us get the Pizza Pets collab. So I think we ended up having over 100 Pizza Pets that we allocated towards the
That's
Jelly
awesome,
Cubes
dude.
community, which is
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah, man. At peak, that's a lot of money that was allocated towards your community. So that's sick. Yeah, man, I'm doing great. It's cool that you met Trevor. We did like 12 events last year. We did almost one a month, and one was in Singapore. And that's kind of one of the things that we do. But yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. I'm also in the Cardano ecosystem, just like very loosely. I own Cardano, I own Snake, I own Talos. It's like an AI agent, and Nike. So
Nice.
not a whole lot. I don't have any CNFTs. But I'm like, familiar. I saw somebody on the Bitcoin ecosystem launched a snake token yesterday, and I was like, yo, wait. I was like, you can't take that from Cardano. I was like, every time I see snake like SNEK, I think of Cardano, and so I thought that was kind of funny.
I saw your comment on that. Like it was like an Odin
Oh, you
Fund
did?
launch or something
Yeah, it
like that.
was. It
Yeah.
was. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I knew the guy loosely. He didn't know, right? Like he's like mainly a BTC guy, so he wasn't looking. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I actually
Yeah,
have a. I don't
dude.
think you can see it. I actually have like a snake drink like somewhere back there. That somebody gave me at a conference.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, like the guys from Snack, like I actually know their founders pretty well.
Just like,
So I know like Rami, Rami and Goofy, and then Talos. We actually just had it was our first episode. We just started this Jelly Pod. They came on 2 days ago. So Talos is an awesome project. I think you got like a
yeah,
really good like portfolio for the
yeah,
Cardano ecosystem, even if it's not like
good.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Talos was actually my biggest gain this in 2025, and I trade a lot. I trade multiple transactions a day. I buy a lot on all chains, and yeah, it was. And I think it was actually Daniel Garza who's in the chat right now, who DM'd me about it. Saying like, "Yo, this looks really cool," and to go check it out.
Yeah, I see him. What's up, Daniel and Tim? And by the way, guys, at the end of this, we're gonna do a rapid fire 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A. So if anyone has questions for Chris throughout this, or about Pizza Ninjas, Pizza Pets, whatever the case is, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll get to it. But dude, Chris, so I actually looked into your journey a little bit. I went to your YouTube channel, and for those that don't know and are watching, it's called Chris Coffee. Let me actually show this. So feel free to check out his channel, Chris Coffee Crypto. We're both of us are around the same size channel, which is super cool. Now, what's funny is I went in here and I went to oldest and I saw a disc golf video.
Oh, dang, that's
And
still in there.
dude,
Ah,
and I wanted to
wow.
talk about this because one, I play disc golf and we've got some holders that play disc golf in our community. But the second thing is okay, tell me about your journey as a content creator, how you went from, I guess, talking about disc golf
Yeah,
to talking about GameStop to talking about NFTs to getting into Bitcoin super heavy. Like, what was
dude.
kind of your content creator journey that like
Yeah,
eventually led you to Pizza Ninjas as a
yeah, I love
marketing
it.
team?
The TLDR is I'm a millennial. I am turned 30 in like a couple months. So like I was probably around like 10 or something when like OG YouTube was a thing. And I saw people making videos that other people watched. And even at the time, if they had like a couple like thousand views, I was like, oh my God, I don't even know 1,000 people that exist, you know? And it was one of those things like that's really cool, right? Like the just some of the OG YouTube. It's like some of it's like super annoying and cringy now, but at the time it's like, oh my God, people are like using their phones to like record stuff and like post. So I was like, I want to do that one day. And even at the time, I think when I turned like 12, I had like a slider phone. Like iPhones didn't exist. They did exist, but like you had to be rich basically to have them. And at least where I lived, like nobody, no average person owned an iPhone at like when they were like a preteen. And so I was making videos off my like slider phone of like me and my buddies rip sticking and skateboarding and doing like stupid stuff around just the neighborhood. And that kind of stuck, right? Like I took a lot of time like of not doing that when I like got to high school and stuff. But when I got out of high school, long story short, I gamed a lot. I started making gaming clip videos. I started streaming video games. I started streaming on, I think it's a Gamers. No, it's not Gamers UG. That's a different platform. It started streaming on some platform that doesn't even exist anymore. Then it's transferred to Facebook Gaming. Then I transferred to YouTube. Then I was like, well, I want to make. I spent so many hours streaming like Call of Duty Warzone, Rocket League, like the bigger games that I enjoyed. That I was like, I really need to. Now that I'm getting a little older, you know, at the time I was like 24, something like that, maybe younger. I was like, I need to focus on things that actually like are beneficial to me, right? Like, I still play games on my off time, which is rare, but you know, I want to focus on like stocks because like if I do a lot of research on stocks, a lot of studying, a lot of digging, I could invest in stocks and you know set a future for myself. So that's when you saw the GameStop, which is ironic that it was that. Anyways, I got into GameStop. I got into stocks at 2020. I got into GameStop at like $20 a share. That introduced me to Wall Street Bets, which is like more of like degenerative like gambling.
Yes.
That introduced me to Crypto Moonshots, which was a Reddit forum on like brand new crypto tokens back in like early 2021. And so I kind of pivoted from, you know, like I got into stocks and I was doing pretty good with stocks because I bought the COVID dip, but I also didn't have a lot of money. So I ended up getting into like GameStop, and that just kind of like once you taste, you know, something like that, like you're like, you know, once you taste the 10x, you're just like, oh, well, you know, how am I going to invest in like a 5% a year? And so that kind of got me into crypto, and I pivoted my content from like gaming to stocks, to crypto from that. And the disc golf is kind of side note. We can come back to that later. Disc golf is just a passion. If I were to like make it in crypto in the next like 3, 5 years, however long it takes, I would love just to do disc golf content just because I like doing disc golf. Like, you know, it would just be fun for me. But fast forward, when I was doing crypto videos, I ended up interviewing a bunch of founders, kind of like you're doing right here. And I interviewed Trevor, and Trevor is more than meets the eye. When I interviewed him, he's launching Ninja Alerts, which is a product on Ethereum that tracked wallets. So basically, like, and it had smartphone notifications. And this is back in 2021. There wasn't a whole lot of products. So basically, anytime somebody traded an NFT, it would say, "Oh, Jason traded Jelly Cubes," and I'll get that on my phone, right? Bought, sold, whatever. Then you could set floor price notifications, blah blah blah. Trevor really liked the interview. You know, I had a good setup. I was used to interviewing people at the time, and he's like, "Hey, come do that for me." And that's kind of like where like it kind of sets off in my journey with what was Ninja Alert, still kind of is. Trevor, by the way, is like a successful startup entrepreneur. He probably won't say this. I don't even know if this is known, but it's not really a secret. But like he won like a grant for like a top project when he did some startup thing in Asia, and he ended up like getting a grant for it. This was before crypto Web3 or whatever. Launched a successful startup, sold it. So he was a successful entrepreneur already. So that kind of made me feel a little safer about like working for a Web3 company. Also, this entire time I owned a coffee shop, a brick and mortar, which I just sold, by the way, a couple months ago. I owned it for 8 years. I was married. I got married at 21, so I got married really, really early. I had kids at 25, so it was around that time too. My first child was during COVID. So yeah, I started working for Trevor. That went from like videos, editing, content, to kind of more of like a general marketing, basically anything that gets out, partnerships, collaborations, basically announcements, kind of more of like the directing than the one that's just like interviewing. And that's a very like dumbed down version of like where I'm at today, right? And we could talk about actually how Pizza Ninjas got established and where they're at, later in this video. What's up, Chef or Freckless?
Yeah, dude. I'm very curious here. So it seems like you got into content creation really young. What do you think was so fascinating about creating content for you? Like, what kind of drew you to that? Because there aren't that many content creators out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might have, for every person creating content, you probably have 10,000 that aren't, right? So, like, what do you think kind of drew you to creating content in the first place?
Man, that's a great question. I think just the entertainment, like, I spent hours and hours watching really stupid stuff when I was like when I was young. And I think it was just a matter of like thinking I want to be the one to create like entertaining or educational stuff. And specifically with crypto, when I was getting into crypto, I would look up a video on like how to buy something, right? And it was either like not nearly detailed enough, like they would skip over steps that were like super crucial. I'm talking about like I don't want to know how to like use MetaMask to swap my Ethereum or use a bridge to bridge from Ethereum to Cardano. How do I even get my money in MetaMask, right? And they would like skip over that. And
Yeah.
for somebody that was in like 2021, I'm just like, no, like, what do you mean? Like, I, how do I get money there? What? Do I fund a sex? Like, where do I paste the address? Like, and it sounds dumb, but like at the time, and even if I could fill in the blanks, I know there's people who couldn't, and it would like frustrate me that they would skip over so many steps. So I was like, I'm going to be the one to not skip over those steps. And I actually made some how-to videos that did really good in 2021. I actually deleted some of them because the tokens themselves are controversial, but my main point was on like how to buy them. And I started kind of like going from that angle. And then you had the opposite side of the spectrum of like people that just like, I guess the common crypto term is LARP, to where like they don't know what they're talking about. They just like see
Yeah.
a headline and they just kind of yap about it. And I also don't like that end of it. So it's either like people are way too smart and they just kind of skip over everything, or they're the opposite and they just throw it out there.
Bro, I relate to that so much because I remember when first getting into crypto, yeah, there are so many things that you don't even realize that like
Yeah.
I had to figure out a lot of it on my own. And that was one of the reasons that I was attracted to making content as well, because I was just seeing one, there wasn't a lot of information out at the time as well, like 2020, 2021. Like there just wasn't that many guides out there. And then, like you said, there weren't, it was sometimes missing pieces. And I think one thing that happens is the more you're in the space, the more things feel like just common sense and common knowledge, but aren't.
Yep.
So so
Yeah.
it's like you've got to like recognize that as a creator of like, okay, how advanced do I go here? Um, but yeah,
Hmm.
dude, super interesting. And I've noticed on the channel too, you are similar to me where you cover a bunch of different stuff.
Yep.
What sort of, and you said you're into Cardano and you're into all these other ecosystems. Have Why? Like, why are you covering
Yeah.
so many different things? Why have you not just like focused on one niche? And I'm curious, at one point you were really into Bitcoin. I'm
Mhm.
assuming because of Pizza Ninjas. Like, yeah, just tell me like why you're doing what you're doing with your content.
Sure. I did forget in my content journey, an important part is my wife is part of the media team at FinCon. It's a financial content creators conference that's been going on for the last like, I don't know, probably close to a decade now. So like for the last like 5 or 6 years, we actually like help run the media part of it. And it's really cool because it's like it's all focused on content creators in the financial field. It wasn't until the
Mhm.
last like 2 years where crypto was even like in the conversation, because these people are usually more of like a frugal living, reducing their lifestyle, saving money, that side of things. And that I learned so much about like algorithms, posting, like how to post on certain medias, so much from those conferences. That's also where I met somebody from who is now on the Snake team. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he gave me the drink at that conference. As far as like the niche, that's actually more of a struggle of mine, honestly. I think there's been more negative of not niching down than there has been positive. Like I think of like AVAX the last like month or two. If I'd have just like stuck, I've made AVAX content in the past. If I just stuck doing AVAX stuff, I could have like capitalized very heavily on the arena airdrop. I could have gotten like all of the 3 pre-sales, Ket, Wink, and now Blub.
Blob.
I didn't get any of them, by the way. And I could have made like 6 figures, which would have been more than I made doing anything else in the last year. I feel like having a niche can be good, but the downside to a niche is you are putting all your eggs in one basket. You're hoping that is the ecosystem to explode, right?
Dude, yes.
So I guess I'm just scared of limiting my content to that. I'm also okay. This is like I'm not very good at like stretching like a little piece of information and making a whole video out of it. I have a buddy who's like a content creator and he's been doing like stuff on like Toshi lately on YouTube. And dude, anytime there's like one tweet about it, he'll make a 10 or 11-minute video on it and it'll do well. It'll get like 1,000, 2,000 views on YouTube. Everybody commenting like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, blah, blah, blah. And it's like one tweet. I can't do that, man. I need like a lot of information to talk about for even like 5 minutes. And it's just really hard to do that in a niche, right? Like if you're in a niche, you're kind of waiting for like very meaty stuff to drop. If you're one of those like very like concentrated people. So, I mean, I think that there's a lot of ways for me to answer the question on like why I haven't narrowed down. Part of it is just because like I have problems just like being secluded, like being put in a box of just like this is the way. I also like I am like an on-chain like person. So like I'm very realistic that like Bitcoin is slow. So like we're building a game on Bitcoin. Currently the game itself is slower mechanics because Bitcoin is slow. Whereas like, Solana is super fast. So like when it comes to like hyper gambling on meme coins, Solana kind of makes sense. Now, one of the downsides of being fast is people sell very quickly for very cheap, right? Like you won't have Solana token. I mean, you do, but like there's a lot higher chance of something like Talos going from like 0 to 14 million and basically staying at around 10 to 14 million in the last 2 months whenever it was released than there is on Solana, right? Like the only things that are on Solana that are at that market cap were launched months and months ago, had a lot of time to establish, and basically, were the winners of that. So many chains have their upsides and downsides. It's really hard for me just to be like, this is my thing, like I really want this to be the one that works.
Man, we are in the exact same boat. It's so funny because okay, so I started my channel a little over 3 years ago, started on Cardano. Like I did some guides on different stuff, but then I niched down into Cardano NFTs because one, I saw the potential there with ETH and Solana NFTs blowing up. I was like, oh, like Cardano, especially over 3 years ago, a lot of people were like, man, this is going to blow up. Like they just have smart contracts coming out, all this stuff. And I knew I wanted to create an NFT project and be a founder of something. So that's why I niched down into Cardano. And that's what helped give sort of the foundation for Jelly Cubes. Like people knew who I was, I understood the space, and you kind of had the market with that. And then kind of the downside with picking a niche is like if that doesn't grow or you kind of cap out, now you're kind of stuck covering something that doesn't have a lot of growth. And I found myself getting bored a little bit too, where I wanted to start covering, okay, let me cover Solana, let me cover this, let me cover that, let me cover that. And it's funny that you brought up AVAX. I just posted an AVAX video today about these meme coins. So I know about those 3 pre-sales. And you're exactly right. I think at the all-time high for Ket, your $500 could be $1 million. Like it was that insane. Even with Blobfish that just came out, I think the $1,200 AVAX allocation, like the 65 AVAX, was worth over 70K. So it's one of those situations where you want to cover content on different things. But at the same time, you almost run into that issue where you're stifling your growth because people might subscribe to you for the AVAX video you posted, but then you don't make another AVAX video for 15 days, 20 days, 30 days. That's kind of where the problem runs in when you're not in a niche, because now your content's getting sent out to subscribers that just aren't interested in like 80% of what you're doing.
Yep. Definitely a struggle I specifically have on YouTube, right? So one thing I didn't talk about, which is very important to all this as well, is my main content last cycle. Do you know what it was? Like my
I
main
don't
niche. It's
actually.
okay. It was VV. I don't know. Did you ever dabble on VV at all?
That was like the collectible NFTs with
Yes.
Star Wars shit and like some
Yes.
other stuff like that, right? Yeah.
So VV is where I got started, like actually making a lot of content consistently. I probably have over a third of my videos on my YouTube channel as VV. And it was, you had at the time promised of like Batman, Superman, all these like different like large IPs, Marvel, Disney, DC, on chain, right? And so I was just like, this is it. Like, this is what's going to blow up. And what everybody, what all the normies, this is what the retail is going to buy if they buy NFTs. And I was sold on it. And yeah, so like I made content on it for like over a year. And my views were decent. That never opened up the door for other opportunities for me. There was no sort of affiliate system with VV. There was no like, use my ref, sign up and like there's a bonus there.
Yeah.
There was no recognition. They never shared my stuff. There was no sponsorships whatsoever. I think they are currently doing some sponsorships. There was no like opportunity as a creator besides just grinding out multiple day videos a week, putting on content for the people that subscribe to me. But there was no like, why, like, of course, like, you make content to help people, but if you're just spending hours and hours of your life with zero benefits to even like support the content you're creating, then what's the point of doing it anymore? So it was a mixture of that versus like some failed deliverables on their side on like why I was decided like, all right, well, I'm gonna niche out. And I think that scared me, right? Like I think I was niched down too much. I was niched down to like not only crypto, not only NFTs, not only a main layer of NFTs like Cardano or Ethereum or Solana, but like a layer two, which was like, even off of that layer two, which is Immutable X, is kind of like a niche off of it. It was way too
It was
niche.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was expecting, I had high expectations for it. I put all my eggs in one basket and it didn't work out. So I had to grind this entire last bear market to make a name for myself because people only knew me from VV. Literally, I had like trolls on my comments being like, oh, people only watch your videos when it's like VV related. And so I had to grind, right, the whole bear market to like rebrand myself to like, I made content before VV. As I told you, like I was doing like how-to videos on like crypto buying. I made a lot of other videos that did really well. And I'm making content after VV. And honestly, 2025 has been my best year for content. I landed a partnership with Polkadot, the entire blockchain, for
Wow.
actually it's extended to this month to where this is such a cool partnership. It was an explorative partnership to where it's like, hey, we're going to allow you to explore any area of our ecosystem. So it's not like, hey, we want you to cover these very specific things. It's literally like, go try our stuff, go play the games, go try the swaps, go try the wallets, go try, literally anything I want to do. I make videos around it. I talk about it, and that's like part of our partnership. That was a huge win for me this year. Is like having like a top 10 blockchain. I believe in my content enough to like allow me to explore their chain. So yeah, man, I think VV very much was the reason that I was like, I'm so niched out now because I was too niched down. I think I would rather have like, I definitely have more opportunity, the wider scope. But exactly what you were saying, the downfall to that is, I did really well during the meme coin videos on YouTube. Anytime I like posted about like how I would try out alpha groups. And I would post on YouTube like how my experience was with alpha groups. Did I make money? Did I lose money? Every one of those videos, multiple thousand views. Some of them got like 10,000 plus views, but they were sort of exhausting to make because I had to spend hours, days, weeks in these
Yeah.
groups, spend money on it, whatever. So like it was worth it in the end, but it's like, I don't want to do that for the rest of my YouTube career. So now, if I post stuff like anything, like I'll probably do a video on the White House summit, this Friday. I know it's not going to get a lot of views, but it's like, I'm trying to work on branching myself out to more macro, related stuff. So
Wow. Yeah, it's funny how many similarities there are. Okay, now onto the Pizza Ninja stuff because I'm very curious how this played out. I know that you said you had an interview with Trevor. He really liked what you were doing, invited you to join the team. What exact? I know that you had brought up some of the stuff that you do with, mostly being a spokesperson and communicating stuff and making some content. Can you kind of walk me down like the day to day of what you're doing with Pizza Ninjas, as well as in a broader sense, kind of talk about what Pizza Ninjas is about for those that don't know anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start off with like what Pizza Ninjas is about. So we are a IP project. Think like Pudgy Penguins. Like we have already made like two animations, like one full animation. We want to be in we want to be in movies one day. Like we have like, or we want to have our own movie one day. Not like be in a movie, not like put your character in a movie, but like we want to our kids to watch our show on Netflix that we created, right? Our movie on Netflix. Um, and we want to be that IP that people like really desire, right? Like that people relate with, think is funny, or think is cool, all that. We're also building a game. It's Pizza Pets. We've already built it. We've already have a proof of concept. We had almost 1 million transactions on the game, and those are authentic transactions. It's Bitcoin, so you have to pay per transaction. So people aren't paying, how $10 per transaction to make it look like fake
To mess
metrics.
around, yeah.
Yeah, like good luck with that. So like we've actually had like almost 1 million legit transactions. Um, we do events for just our holders, our community. But yeah, the main thing is like we're IP focused, and that's kind of like moving forward with the future is like what we're going to focus on. My day-to-day operations is basically all of those things. So it really just depends on the week. Really, it very, very much like varies. Like my consistent things I do is like I run like all the different types of Twitters. Like I run like Pizza Ninjas, Pizza Pets, other ones. So I do all the tweets, I do all the responding, I do all the coordinating, I do all the collabs, all the collab posts. I don't do like the actual like I'm not the collab manager, but like I'll do like the partnership post. I'll do like internal stuff. Like we just released the white paper. I had a lot of input on the white paper. I'll be the one that markets that white paper. So like in this week and the upcoming week, so you're gonna see like posts of the white paper of like elements that are highlighted. I run a show for the ninjas similar to this one where we do updates every week. I Dude, it's so broad. But like I have several of these a week. I have like another one Friday on like a space of like talking about it during events times. Events are like crazy. Like I pre-market the events. I market them as they're going on. I coordinate with the videographers, photographers, what press is going to be there. Make sure we get maximum exposure out of the budget that we have. I save all those into like different drives to organize everything. I create content engines, content funnels. These content engines are for all socials. Those will eventually translate into like also Instagram, also YouTube posts. That's kind of like what I've really been focused on right now is like making a whole series just for Instagram shorts and YouTube shorts for the future and like developing that engine. Currently, the problem with that engine is the content itself. It's not me. So in other words, like I'm relying on, I can't just get on like a Canva and make a banner,
Yeah.
that looks good enough to post on Instagram. I have to like rely on like third party for that. So yeah, I mean, I'm do literally, I guess like to sum it up, pretty much anything you ever see from Pizza Ninjas and Pizza Pets is me. Now, like a lot of times, like, I do have some help. But for the most part, like I'm doing pretty much everything that gets out, right? So I always joke
That's a
around about
lot.
like I'm the one that clicks. I oversimplify it and dumb it down as like I'm the one that like clicks the button. Like if somebody asks me in Web 2 like what you do, I'm like I take a lot of what a lot of smart people did, and I'm the one that clicks post. But it's obviously a lot more complicated than that. It is a lot, right? It's a lot of fun because it's like in a bigger organization, like let's take I don't even know what to use in this space. Maybe Magic Eden or something. You have like this marketing manager, and they have an editor, and then they have a somebody that does graphics, and then they have somebody who runs the social media, and then they have like, so basically the marketing manager, like, makes sure everybody's doing everything and coordinates and creates a content engine. Whereas a lot of times, like with like a little bit smaller organizations, like you're kind of the one that's doing a lot of that too. Now we do have people that help, like when we do like higher end videos, like I do have an editor that I work with. Sometimes I do have somebody that helps with graphics and stuff, but for the most part, like it's like you wear a lot of hats when you work for startups. Like that's just part of it. And that's just something you'd be expected. Like I don't, there's a lot of trade-offs, like a lot of pros and cons, but like one of the things for me is good because I've learned so much. Like I've learned how to organize content engines within like either Notion or Linear or whatever you're using. I've learned things that are like well outside of my like what I'm used to. So for me, it's positive. It's like, to me, it beefs up my resume for the future. If if I ever move on to like something else, it's like I have so much experience now.
Yeah, and that's crazy valuable too. And I'm kind of curious, and kind of like a quick take here is, what made you want to work on Pizza Ninjas? Like, what sort of vision did you see? What really attracted you to take this on? Because it is such a huge responsibility and role, and there are so many moving things. So, yeah, what was kind of like the deciding factor?
Man, I really think, like, I really do believe in Trevor. Like, I think a lot of it's rare to find like very solid founders who have a lot of like like real experience, and Trevor is one of those. And I've seen him during moments of like where I felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel, pivot in ways that like really just like shocked me. Like I feel like I usually can like fill out a scenario and kind of predict what's going to happen, and he's really just done a very good job at like pivoting and nailing some things. So I also like that he has a I don't even know this, but Trevor owns, he's a VC as well. He has Bitcoin Frontier Fund, which is a fund that invests in startups building on Bitcoin, and they have 80 plus startups, already. Some of those, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say exactly what those are, but some of those are very well known, and you've probably used the applications before. So he also has that backing, right? Like which I've worked for too. I worked for the fund for almost a year. So again, I'm thinking like I have two kids. I'm thinking security when I work for like when I work for a startup, like what's my backup? And so for this backup, I'm thinking like, first off, this does not mean there's any problem with the ninjas at all, but I'm just thinking worst case scenario, like Ordinals die, like we tried everything, they don't work, whatever. Worst case scenario, I will probably still work for the fund. That's just how my mind
Yeah,
works. Is
yeah,
and in the worst case scenario, like what's my safety net? And I think my safety net would be like with the fund if anything were to ever happen to the ninjas. But at this point, I'm super confident in the ninjas. I think we're established enough. I think ordinals are established enough. Like there's not as much risk there anymore. But even at the time of like why I would choose to work full time ninjas or full time for this project, would really just be the security, the vision. Trevor, I can't overstate enough, is like I really believe that he knows what he's doing. So I'm here to roll with it.
yeah, dude, that's awesome. And going more in depth into Pizza Ninjas, why do you think it's been successful so far? Because it is mostly an IP project. There are a lot of different projects that try doing this. What do you think has really separated the Pizza Ninjas project? And even in this, sort of bear market for NFTs and ordinals and stuff like that, Pizza Ninjas are still performing well. Like what really separated it?
Yeah, so I think that, when you say there's a lot of projects doing this, on Bitcoin, there's not. Like, honestly, there's like no IP projects on Bitcoin. There's a few, but like they're not really IP focused. And so I would say like our goal is to be the IP project on Bitcoin. And I would say that all the projects that are IP focused are actually still crushing it. I mean, like Pudgy Penguins is the biggest example. The Chimpers is another example. They've been doing well. Claynosaurus, has been kind of crushing it on that front. Those are just a couple, from, I could think Claynosaurus is Solana, and then the other two are ETH. But yeah, I just think IP makes the most sense. Like I think it was like that was one of the original thesis of NFTs back in 21 with the apes. And then things kind of like died out and people got more degenerate and they were like, oh, IP doesn't make sense. I can't put my ape in a movie and expect to get paid from it. But I think it's a bigger landscape than that. I think there's a lot more possibility than just that. And then I think there's like a ton of like things you can do on the side as well. But I think what separates us is like we like allocate our we allocate our funds appropriately. I mean, like we have a small team, but like we just built a successful game with like a couple of like cracked developers, me doing the marketing, Ken doing the creative directing, and just like crushed it, like in my opinion. So I think we have a proof of concept now to where like we could expand this game to like something so much bigger. Like I genuinely believe like we could pick up Web 2 users with the way that this game is going. And we did all that like from scratch. So it's like even though IP is the focus, like we're not limited, right? Like if we want to create a successful game with millions of downloads, like we can do that. If we wanted to include the ninjas in that game, we can do that. Like Pirate Nation is another good one. They are with Zynga, really originally like I forgot, like they were like the founders of Zynga as well or something like that. They've been really good with this angle. But yeah, I don't know. I just think with our team, with our bandwidth, that we can literally do anything. And I think that I have full confidence that we're going to build like a full scale IP that people are going to want to indulge in, as well as a successful game, which again, we've already done, but we'll do better. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's really enough, but
No, it is because I completely agree. I think the space has kind of gotten to this point, and I've gone down this rabbit hole myself as a project founder. It's like, oh, let's do staking and let's do metaverse and let's do this and let's do that. And like most of that stuff just kind of ends to zero, or when the meta changes, people move on and they get into the next thing. And I think what's really interesting is the brand and IP are the foundation that allows you to do anything as a project, right? Like you just said, okay, we have the brand, we have the IP, we have the community. Okay, if we want to build a game, we can. If we want to expand this game, we can. If we see some sort of opportunity that comes up that aligns with our values and what we're trying to do and our capabilities, we can do that. And I think one of the reasons Pudgy Penguins has done so well is they started off making just a super strong brand and IP to the point where then they had the successful business and sustainability through the toys, the merch, the products, the events, whatever the case is. But that then allowed them to airdrop the Pengu token, which that ended up being worth billions and having like $100,000 airdrops to holders. And then that also has allowed them to leverage that community and brand to make abstract. So it's one of those interesting things where I completely agree. And it's one of the things I wish we focused on more with Jelly Cubes in the beginning, and that we're starting to get into more, is just building out the character, putting them into your marketing materials, making the different gifts that you guys have in like Pudgy, has had billions from Giphy, right? So no, I completely agree. And I actually want to tap into something here. I want to tap into the pizza pets more because, and let me see if
I did forget to include one thing on ninjas. Do you mind if I include it real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
We've been innovative since the start. So our actual ninjas use recursion. So basically each pizza ninja is its own application. So you can actually like go into the ninja and like animate it. Like you can make it move, you can make it dance, you can add like a GM sticker to it, you can add whatever to it. And you can play SNES on it. You can play a game on it, and that's all on chain. So like it's not like you have to like connect your wallet to do all that, right? Like the infamous like somebody connected their wallet to animate their ape and lost their ape. This is actually like all within the ordinal using recursion theory. So like each ninja serves its own application, and we use that technology as soon as available. So like we have like basically one of the things I'm proud of for Pizza Ninjas is the fact that we've been innovating since the start. We have I don't know if you've ever seen it. Our white paper for Pizza Ninjas is 88 pages. It's on GitHub.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah. It's like really intense. I'll actually send it to you. But yeah, so just to kind of give you an idea of we mean business.
Dude, that's insane. 88 pages.
Yep. Trevor's cracked, man. I don't know how else to put it. It's all right. Here it is. I think this is it. Yeah, so this is our, I'll send it over the private chat. Um, this is our, just the Pizza Ninjas white paper. And I think this is the full. Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't have to go through the whole thing, but like
Yeah, this is
there's a lot that
crazy.
goes into it. Yeah. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, we really, I would say what separates us the most is this stuff, man. Like again, I challenge you to find like any other Bitcoin ordinal project that's like in this same lane doing this same scale. And again, I'm not saying that the Ordinals ecosystem is too small for me to like get like competitive with it, I guess. Um, like it's not like I want all the projects that are building to succeed, but as far as like what I feel like separates us, like I mean, if people dig in enough, they'll find it.
Bro, that's awesome. And yeah, like I did want to talk about the pizza pets
Yep,
because
of
this was
course.
one of the biggest airdrops that happened on Bitcoin. I mean, there's been some big airdrops of rune stones from Leonidas and stuff like that. But this was like at one point weren't these pizza pets like $400 or something insane? Can you
Yeah,
just
they
like
almost hit
walk
600. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, insane. Because I remember, like, before any of them had died, they were only going for like $40 or something. And then all of a sudden, and that deflation kicked in. I don't have like my wallet set up here, but what's kind
Yep.
of like the walkthrough of what this was about? And I'm curious just if it met your guys' expectations of like what you guys were trying to do with this.
Yeah, for sure. I also just sent you. You don't have to click that right now, but it's the season 2. Once we get to to the second part of this,
Okay.
so this is a game that's meant to be played forever on Bitcoin. This is season 1 of the game. It's Tamagotchi styled, for lack of better words. Obviously, like we don't want to like it's not Tamagotchi at all. So it's not like Tamagotchi on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But you feed your pets. If you don't take care of them, they die. Like the end simple. So you can give them any of those things, and they all do different things. And it takes like depending on what strategy you use is how long it takes. But ultimately, if you do the safest strategy, which is just like pizza and beer, then you end up getting it to our it'll take you like a couple months and you'll get to the immortal. Once it gets to the immortal phase, it lives forever. So like that's the beauty of Bitcoin ordinals is they're tied to actual they are Bitcoin. They're Satoshis. So the idea is it's not even an IPFS. It's not even like a centralized like data point that it points to. It's literally on a Satoshi. And so once you get to immortal, you not only are they obviously way more valuable, but you get into season 2, which we just released. So this has been the last few months of just people playing this game and trying to get their pets to immortal. If you go, does it show you the dashboard without having your wallet connected? Um, yeah, there you go. So that'll show you that stat that I was talking about earlier, where it shows you like how many pets died. So there's like about 50, 60,000 pets at the beginning, about 12,600, and can't quite read that, but like 82 looks like top left. Are our pets alive, but a majority of those were immortal. If you see the top right, that stat that I was talking about earlier, with how it is the total times fed, that's 966,655. That's almost a million transactions on
Just
Bitcoin.
on this.
Yeah, which is like again, each transaction is a Bitcoin transaction. It's not cheap and it's not fast. So this isn't like a gamed or botted stat. This is like people, actual real players playing the game, and so yeah, the idea is pretty simple. Is you have like 11 different types of these things, and you got to make up to the end. The pineapples we did on auction, those are at the bottom. Those add to the game theory. Basically, each pet has a weakness. If the pineapple is triggered, then the pet could potentially die by the weakness. If you made it to the end, congratulations, you now have a pet that lives forever. And then that goes into season 2, which immortals are also just their own like valuable like collectible. But if you want to click the link I just sent you, it's like super new. So it'll just kind of give you a preview of like here's like what one of the immortals looks like, and if you click that actual like Git book, and basically this goes to everything you need to know about Pizza Pets. I won't go through the whole thing, but it goes about Pizza Pets, the story, and then it talks about like how if you have 11 immortals, you can now breed. And we took the breeding mechanics from 15 different games, ranging all the way from like Pokemon to others, and basically took those breeding mechanics on how it would make sense within Pizza Pets. And so like these go all the way down to like how you fed your pet to get it to immortal, how like how that affects like their stats, and all this is going to go into a battle of, if you want to click battle arena, it's going to be a MOBA where like there's actually a game you can play that you're immortal. You can see the immortal, that big purple guy is actually like playing the game. And so basically if you made it to immortal, you're going to be able to play this. And let's see what else there's a lot of like obvious like complexity here. Let me find the actual. If you want to click immortal abilities, it's like right under that. These are the 3 immortals that we've shown so far. So there's our Aquafin in final form, our Electroid in final form, and then our Galawing in final form. And these are all going to be like the playable characters in the game. So, and then there's gonna be more seasons. Like season 1 was trying to get them to immortal, was the airdrop and getting them to immortal. Season 2 is going to be actual gameplay.
Wow. And like within this gameplay, like are there prizes that people can win essentially, or like is it more so like a fun thing people can do, or what is your guys' game plan with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely going to be like incentives, I'm sure. I'm unsure of exactly what those are, but like, I mean, as of any like Web3 game, like you do obviously want to have like power to the player. I don't know exactly how that ties in here. This actually just dropped like overnight, so I haven't even had time to digest it yet.
Oh, this just happened yesterday.
Yeah, I read it this morning. And so and I didn't know everything that was going into it. So I'm actually still learning a lot of stuff here. Um, but we also want to make a game that's just like fun for people to play, right? Like, I think that's like one of the most important parts is like, is this like genuinely fun? I know that we're going to have like a Web2 version of this for anybody to play, just to like see what people think and gather consensus and opinions. And then of course we're going to have the version of it to where it's actually like the pets themselves. And again, there's really nothing I can say that like where it's basically anything I said right now is a speculation of like maybe you battle and you like actually win resources off of like winning the battle, or you win, you know, whatever. Oh, and then also like a big aspect of this is like the earn feature is, if it does take off and people do love it, if you have all 11 types, you can actually breed, you know, so think Axie Infinity. And then then these new eggs you not have to raise to adult, or you not have to raise to immortal, but they can also be part of the game. So part of the earning aspect of it is literally the breeding mechanic of wanting to breed like the ideal like strength pet, as well as like, you know, keep supply going, ongoing. But the breeding gets more and more complex, and so does the raising and all that.
Wow. And do you feel like is Pizza Pets essentially going to be outside of, you know, the IP building and events? Is this going to be the main focus for the Pizza Ninjas project going forward? Because this is a lot. Like this is a
It is a
lot
lot,
of
yeah.
moving pieces. Like, is this the main focus?
Honestly, I would say like as of the last like few months, it's been the main focus. I don't think like moving forward, it's I'm unsure. Like I think IP is our main focus, right? Like I don't think we want to like get off of that. But I mean, I think we're putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this game, trying to make something that people would actually want to play. I would guess that just like any good game, our like goal here would be to like create something that people genuinely have a good time playing, want to continue playing, and then it's more about quality of life updates and maybe some game updates. So it's a lot less like, even though there will be like new seasons, I'm hoping that like we can create such a good product that it's more of like fine tweaking and marketing and upgrading than it is like right now we're still building everything from scratch. So to answer the question, like, is this our main focus? I would hope that like short term, it's basically our primary focus, but long term, I still think Pizza Ninjas and the IP and everything focused around ninjas, which ninjas will have an integration within this game and benefits within the game too, of course, from what I've heard or seen. I
Sweet.
actually heard that on the species too. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in. We're gonna do a quick Q&A at the end. I think for the most part. Oh, someone asked if you're in Jelly Cubes. I don't think you're in our Discord. You should
I'm
join our
not.
Discord
Yeah,
and say
I
what's
don't.
up sometime. It's free
I
right now,
should.
actually.
Yeah, I should definitely. I have no CNFTs, so I'm not. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
I
dude,
should
so
be.
right now it's completely free. So I mean, feel free to check
Yeah,
it out. We've got some people that found abstract. Where there are people that are getting in all sorts of shit in our
yeah,
community. So um,
yeah. I'll
but
join for
yeah.
sure.
So this is so Tim. I think Tim was mostly joking, but this isn't necessarily like a metaverse. You guys are building. It's more so like a gameplay, like, or is it like a metaverse? Would you consider it like the pizza verse or?
I mean, it's our own world. I feel like the term metaverse is so overplayed for the last. I've never
Yeah,
been like a metaverse guy. Like even back in 2021, where that was the thing, like everybody was buying like Sandbox and
buying lands and
digital
shit.
land and stuff like that. Yeah. So I don't really know even what defines a metaverse as a metaverse. This is our world, and our even though it's like I think this like actual like MOBA exists outside of the Pizza Ninja world. I wouldn't be surprised if it still ties into it. So we are making like our own world for it, but that all ties into the IP, the storyline, the like further planning. It's not necessarily, from what I understand, it's not necessarily digital land that you buy and hope to be able to like listen to a concert on.
Yeah. Yes. Oh man. And kind of like the final question that I have today, Chris, is where do you think the ordinal space is going? Because you've
Yeah.
been pretty, boots on the ground for a while. I think the Bitcoin space, what's been interesting is there's been so many different innovations and things constantly coming out. This L2, BRC20, runes, all of these different things. Where do you sort of envision at least ordinal specifically going at this point? Like, do you
Man,
think that it's
I
going to have like a massive comeback at some point and have like mainstream adoption? Where do you see sort of like the product market fit, I guess, for ordinals?
I still think that I don't know about mass adoption, but I still think about that people that really care about decentralization and permanence and in fine art and all that. I still think that ordinals will be that thing. The more tools that are released, the less a barrier to entry there are for the average person. So I do think the tool, like we mentioned Odin.fun, somebody launching like Snick on there earlier in this episode. But Odin, I don't know if you're aware, but like you connect your Bitcoin wallet to it, and it's like fast, pretty much gasless transactions. I don't really know exactly how far it goes from there, but I know that like basically similar to Pump Fund, it has to like migrate in order to become like a Rune or a BSC20. Like I think that's kind of like the solution to like slow transactions, high fees. But yeah, as far as the ordinals go, I mean, an example is as soon as I saw the dip, I saw some major influencers like that never talk about ordinals talking about ordinals. Like I saw ICO Beast post about buying I don't even remember maybe a puppet the other day. I saw Clemente post about buying an ordinal. Like it's funny, like anytime like the market kind of retraces, the people that you never see talking about it talk about it. I see people I really respect, like DZ or D's, whatever. He's got a puppet. I really think that ordinals will be the place of like a basically almost like represent. Okay, this sounds far fetched. In a sense, almost like representing a CryptoPunk, right? Like I don't necessarily know. Like obviously, CryptoPunks won't be mass adopted by like your grandma's not gonna like download a MetaMask and figure out how to buy a punk off of their contract. But I think that anybody who's like crypto native, who's like really into it and like appreciates like digital artifacts and the permanence of Bitcoin and all that, I think that Ordinals is there to stay, and I think that will reflect the highest quality projects. So I don't just like meme coins. When meme coins came back, or if they come back in the future, I don't think every single meme coin is going to pump. I think it's going to be the ones that have the most ground, like the most basis. And so I think that ninjas. I know that ninjas are in there. I mean, off the top of my head, like Pizza Ninjas, we are the IP project on Bitcoin. I genuinely believe that Bitcoin Puppets is like the meme on Bitcoin. Obviously, like Quantum Cats, if Cat VM is successful. there's just so many that there's not so many actually. There's under like 10 that are like I think that have permanence and relevance and will continue to do so.
Sweet, sweet. I love that. And we got a question from Thomas. What are your thoughts on runes specifically? Like,
Yeah, man,
what are
I
your
got burnt on
feelings?
runes. I
Same,
want to be
actually.
yeah, I want to be really bullish on runes. And I hope so. I still have a lot of well, I had a lot of money in runes. It's no longer a lot of money. Um, I don't know, right? Like I will say that newer applications I think are replacing and the amount of on-chain activity across the board, not on Bitcoin ecosystem, are replacing the need for a centralized exchange listings. Like I mean, we've seen like billion-dollar market cap runners that never touched an exchange, right? So like I think that need for the centralization to like bail us out is kind of coming to an end. I hope. So there's apps like Slingshot, which I don't know if they already support runes, but like I'm pretty sure they support Cardano. They support basically everything, and I think they're going to support runes if they don't already. But basically, you just like type in the contract address, and it buys it. You know, it works. It feels just like a centralized exchange, but it's not. Actually a DEX. And yeah, that I think Magic Eden Swap's getting better, more advanced. So to answer the question. I don't know. I hope so. Like I really hope so because I think it would be a good like sign of life for the ecosystem. But I'm also hoping for the day that we don't rely on that, right? Like I think we're close to that. I really do. I think we're like the amount of on-chain activity that's happened in the last like year. Really just feel like you can have massive runners without even needing a centralized exchange. But yes, it would be nice. I
Agree.
mean, again, like there's really not a big difference between getting your grandma to download Slingshot and Click Dog. You know, it does support runes. I remember I bought dog on there, and Click Dog. You know that three-letter word that has a dog in a Bitcoin hoodie on the Slingshot app than it would be to download Coinbase and buy whatever on there, right? Like it's the same thing. So I think that with newer tools, the need there is getting lower,
It's
and you
going
can
to be
also
more
fund it.
seamless. Yeah.
You can
It's
also
going to be
fund it
less
using
clunky.
like using Apple Pay, using your credit card or whatever. So like you don't even need like the same on ramp process basically.
I agree. I think it's going to get more seamless. And it needs to, because I think one of the hard things with Bitcoin is like kind of that clunkiness, kind of the speed and the clunkiness when you compare it to something like Solana. But I completely agree. I know for us too, like we haven't made an announcement for it, but we're doing like a small limited edition collection on Bitcoin ordinals too, because I see a lot of potential in the space. And, I want to, be part of that space too. So yeah, that's why I want to have like Bitcoin content creators and projects on is like being able
Yeah.
to talk to these different teams that are building. And, like you said, I think what's interesting with ordinals is you did have a lot of projects that came kind of just inscribed some stuff and then stopped being active, or maybe they just wanted like to do something cool or art wise. But there are those teams that are really like grinding, like you
Yeah.
guys and puppets and some of the other projects there.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot of extractions on ordinals, right? Like so I hate to see it, somebody just use ordinals ecosystem as like X liquidity. But I think like what you're doing, like a limited collection on ordinals, like really makes sense because kind of going back to my other thesis of like, I think there are select people that it's going to be important to them that is on Bitcoin. And I think having a place for those people is nice, right? Like my ordinals, I don't really trade anymore. I really just hold, but I have no problem holding them because like it's on Bitcoin. There's also a lot of things you can do on Bitcoin, right? Like if you have like an ordinal, you can. There's probably protocols for this now, but like there's platforms like Liquidium where I could put my Ninja up for a loan and borrow Bitcoin directly, right? And or the opposite, I can loan my Bitcoin and gain interest on that Bitcoin for loaning towards a Ninja because it's on Bitcoin. It supports Bitcoin protocols. And so like if you're also like, just a big Bitcoin person, it makes sense to be able to lean into Bitcoin DeFi because it's all native on the chain. And there's a lot of Bitcoin DeFi like staking and like a lot of new things that are like rolling out that we've really never even been possible before that are being possible like within the last year.
Wow, exciting stuff. But dude, Chris, this has been an awesome conversation. It's nice having another content creator on too. You have like the whole setup and the nice
Yeah.
chair and the mic and everything. And best of luck to everything that you're doing as a creator, but also at Pizza Ninjas too. And like I said, you guys have been doing amazing stuff. I was lucky enough to be able to meet Trevor in person as well in Singapore because I'm still in Asia. I'm in Vietnam right now.
Okay. Awesome.
But yeah, it was cool being able to meet him and get to know a little bit more about what they were doing at that time before Pizza Pets even came out, which was cool. But
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah. Is there anything you want to say before we end the stream today? And once again, thank you to everyone that listened in. It looked like 318 people ended up
Sweet.
viewing this today, which is nice for the live. And yeah,
Yeah, I love
anything
it.
else you want to say, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like check out Pizza Ninjas, Pizza Pets. Like, even if you're not like, I'm not asking you to go buy, right? But like, just watch our animation, right? Like, actually, if you don't mind pulling it up, we just created a YouTube, but we have our full animation on there. It's just pizza_ninjas, just like our Twitter. Um, you'll see like our full animation on there, like our first one, and like, I don't know, like show it to your kids or show it to your family and ask them their thoughts. Don't tell them that it's crypto related. Just be like, just be like, hey, do you like this? Like, do you think this is entertaining? Because that's our goal, right? Our goal isn't to be like, oh, like this because it's crypto. It's like, I hope that people can, yeah, that's it. It's brand new, right? So that first one, that you can just, you don't have to play it, but just like click on and the other one, sorry.
Of this one?
Yeah, that one, yeah. So
Here,
that's
we'll
that's
just
the one that's like the newest one. Actually introduces Pizza Pets. But yeah, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, about to grow on those. Obviously on Twitter all the time. Put a lot of work and effort into these animations, into distribution. See, that's one of our characters, like the TV heads. That's Ralph. He's like one of the main characters. I want to say antagonist, but I guess it depends on your perception of who Ralph is. So anyways, yeah, just like check out our stuff. And if you're interested in macro content or like whatever, like I'm on YouTube still grinding. As we talked about before, I'm trying to get out of the hump of what in the world I should post, what's worth my time. Like, I know what does well, but that doesn't always mean I feel like making the content on what does well. And
yeah,
Jason, for
and
you,
it's
I don't
Chris
know if you signed
Coffee
up.
Crypto.
I don't know if you signed up for like the YouTube High Five program, but I got this cool little Lego YouTube thing from the YouTube High Five program, and I put it together. You don't need. Are you signed up for this? You
I
should
am
be.
not actually.
Yeah, you should be 100%. It's literally like YouTube High Five program. It's just for other creators. Doesn't matter if you have, as long as you're monetized, like as long as you have like at least 1,000 views or whatever, or 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, whatever it is now. But they send out little gifts every once in a while if you go claim them. And I got this YouTube Lego set and of the logo. So I'm holding on to this until I get my 100K plaque, man. I dream of the day that I get that 100K plaque. That's like one of my life goals. And so until then, I have this little bitty YouTube Lego set that's in the background. But yeah, you should definitely sign up.
Dude, you'll get there. I was just talking to Thomas like before this, and I was like, Chris is an example of someone that is pumping out a lot of high quality content. And I feel like the issue that you have is the same with me. And it's covering so many broad things that you almost, because I like one thing, and we could always talk about another time, but I was using ChatGPT Deep Research recently,
Yeah.
and you can like fully analyze your channel, and
Wow.
you'd probably have the same issue that I'm having, where it's like you're just covering different things. Your videos get recommended to subscribers. They want to watch you for Solana meme coins, but then you're making other stuff. It's
Wow.
hard.
What was your
Um,
prompt for that?
I basically said I have a YouTube channel with like 15K subs, and I cover, a pretty broad amount of stuff. Is there any way that I can improve my thumbnails? Can you look at,
Hmm.
some of the stuff? And one of the things it brought up was your viewers to your subscriber ratio shows that there's a disinterest in some of the things that you're covering.
Yep.
And basically the disinterest is not covering what they care about, which was from a couple of videos that I made on AVAX, maybe, or Sui, or
Yep.
this or that. So then then the YouTube algo doesn't recommend it to new people, because if your own subscribers don't watch it,
Hmm.
why would some random person watch it? So then you get lower click-through rates. Like, it's a whole thing. So It's
Yeah, so I
I'm
feel like
figuring it out too.
another layer to that problem too is like a lot of the audience we had in 2021 is no longer here. So like
Yeah.
our subscribers could be higher, but if 50% of them left the market and aren't coming back, it kind of it's it probably looks weird. Like even though you have like let's say like 15,000 subscribers, if so many of them left, I wonder if
Or
that hurts you.
inactive.
Yeah, because that doesn't happen if you make content on disc golf, right? Like disc golfers from 3 years ago, they're still playing disc golf. Whereas like crypto, you get burnt, right? Like you get burnt, you're not coming back, and like you don't want to see anything to do with it. So yeah, I feel that struggle. I'm there, right? Like I'm so thankful for Twitter because Twitter's like I can post whatever the heck I want and it does
Yeah.
decent. But YouTube is a struggle, man. You'll see me like I it's almost awkward sometimes. Like I know, like if like I want to make a video on the what's going to be happening at the summit this Friday. I know it's going to get like hardly any views, but I want to make that video. So it's like I have to make the sacrifice of like what do I want to do versus like what do people, they want me to go into the trenches right now, blow some money on a low market cap meme coin and talk about, they want me to try to like make them money basically from that. And it's like I don't mind those videos as like one-off videos. And I know they do well, but like I don't want that to be my thing, right? But it's hard. It's a very, very hard situation because I see people I aspire to. I see Crypto Wendy, who just like she can talk about anything on a live. Like she can talk about XRP, she
It's
can talk about
true.
Solana, she can talk about Cardano right now. Gets like thousands of views and then cussing the shorts and blah blah. Like she does a great job. Alex Becker, super controversial, but he can talk about anything he wants in a fun way, wear the stupid glasses and have his golden deagle out and then like get hundreds of thousands of views. Like even Zach Humphreys is a really good one. Like he does talk mainly about like XRP and stuff like that, but like Zach like records off of his iPhone in horizontal mode and he went from like 60K to like 100K this market, just being like, all right guys, here's the news on XRP, we went from $2 to $2.15.
Yeah.
And again, one of those things like a very minor announcement turns into a 7-minute video. I'm just like, how do you do that? Like how do you take like this one announcement, this one tweet and turn it into like a full out content? So yeah, it's very, I'm sorry, I know you want to wrap up, but I do a lot of studying on this. Like, again, like I work FinCon. I try to figure out what works on different medias. And like, I've been looking into like what works on Instagram and it's like full of LARPs, man. It's like literally this one guy, he has like a mask on. He's like, Kanye's releasing a meme coin next week. If you want to be the next millionaire, join my Telegram. Like I'll have the contract address before anybody else. That stuff works on Instagram. I was like, I cannot sacrifice my soul to be a complete LARP. Like things like, oh, if you would have put $20 in a peanut, last week at this time,
Yeah.
you would now have $4 million, as if like you would have been the one to snipe the contract as soon as it dropped, right? But if you just talk about that, and then say, if you want to be the next one, join my Telegram. It's like that stuff works and it frustrates me, but yeah, we'll get it, man. We'll get it. We'll keep on showing up.
Yes, sir. Well, dude, Chris, pleasure, man. Thank you for everyone that watched in today as well. And